Welcome to episode 8, I think it's 8, of the Waxacast. It's been a month since I've done a last episode. I've been through a lot of changes since. I'm going to talk about change in this episode today, about, changing your style and not being afraid to change your style. And it can hold people back sometimes, and it's held me back, of course. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you my latest release, which is coming out this week, next week on the 16th of June. So I'm going to show you what I've done. And obviously, as you know, that I'm predominantly a disco and a house producer. This time I'm releasing a 4-track EP of old school rave breaks. Because that's the school of, that I came from. That's the old school that I came from. That was where my birth into music production began. Early 90s, late 80s, of messing around with, tape editing and that kind of thing. And it developed into a 4-track and a sampler and all those kind of things. And then obviously the, alternate and the Prodigy and all that just really gripped me at the age of 15, So anyway, I'm releasing an EP of those tracks. And as I say, this episode is going to combine my latest EP with the desire and the, I say bravery, it's a ridiculous word to use, but, the nerve to change sometimes and just release something totally different for the sake of breaking the mould. Because we can get stuck as producers where we would do the same thing over and over again. And the beauty of that is you get very good at that. But at the same time, you can also flip over and become stale, stagnant, bored. Especially someone like me who has got a very, low concentration span, you will definitely get bored sometimes. And, and it's just good to just have a change anyway. And as you can see in the studio is all changed as well. I've sold the acid box, the TD3 is gone. The Korg Volca, the last one, the sampler, that's gone. I've sold that. Got rid of the old piano, got a new piano in, a new stage piano for my next project, which I'm going to be doing, which is, a bit low key at the minute. But yeah, I've just got rid of stuff that I wasn't using. I was making space for things, I've still got my decks, obviously, and all that, but in terms of hardware, I've got rid of it all. I've got just the JD now, which is linked with a piece of software on a tablet, and a little tiny foot pedal, which is for effects, delay, and reverb. So yeah, I've minimalized everything in terms to when I'm experimenting with my live jam stuff, which has made it so much more accessible because I'm not overwhelmed with a variety of items around me. So yeah, so there's change all around, and if you don't change as a musician, as a producer, you are going to get stale. So back to my original point, have the nerve sometimes, make sure that you step up to the plate sometimes and have the nerve to release something totally different, or even just produce something. Even if you're not releasing it, produce something different, put it on your SoundCloud, your YouTube, your Bandcamp, whatever platform, and just put it out there and just see what happens. See if it comes good. See if people pick it up and go, oh, well, that's a bit different. And I'm going to show you now the first track on that EP of mine, which is a complete inspiration of the classic track by Manic called I'm Coming Hardcore, which came out in late 91, early 92. And this is an ode to that, I suppose, a tribute to that. And it goes like this. As you can see on the screen, look, there's just 9 tracks in the whole thing, stripping it down right to the very core. I've done a short video of this already, but I'm just going to quickly, briefly give you a recap on this one and then on to the other ones. So we're going to just do a couple of minutes on each one. So listen to the track. Here we go. And it just starts with pads, hi-hats, then piano. Big stabs, big drop, chord drops, low notes, bass notes. Then a melody on the top end. Then the riff. And then in comes a bass line and a breakbeat, and that's it, and the piano.
I know you're gonna dig this.
You see, it's just straightforward, no nonsense, old school classic breakbeat. And it's got this final bell sort of synth sound at the end, just to take it out. And a big snare roll, drum roll, filtered up.
Dig this.
So there you go. That's something that's completely not Rob Jam Webb in general. You know, I'm used to doing disco and house and stuff, and obviously I can make this kind of music, but obviously I would never think to release it. And I thought to myself, shall I release it under a different name? But I thought, no, do you know what? I ain't got time to build a new name and, you know, and start all over again. So not in dance music anyway. I've already got about 3 or 4, you know, different names for that. So I thought just put it out as Rob Jam Webb and get it going. So that's track 1. So the second track is a track called Cosmic Jungleism, and it's something that I released a fair few years ago now, but then I initially pulled it because it just wasn't doing anything, and I wasn't quite happy with the mix, so I've left it for years, and it's about 5 or 6 years old now, and I thought it would fit this EP, so I've revamped it, given it a whole new lease of life. And it starts off with these pads and these crickets, and this little vocal thing that comes in, proper old school techno this one.
Now we gathered here on the universe at this particular time.
This kind of sweeping Blade Runner style synth pads here like this. Some snappy claps.
We don't need to eliminate something.
And with those old school stabs. It's got this kind of arpeggio at the end. A bit chaotic. I kind of based that one on Underground Resistance and Jupiter Jazz, that kind of, you know, spacey, trancey sort of techno. That was the inspiration for that one. So that one's Cosmic Jungleism. Again, if you can see, it's just like 12 tracks in total, stripping it down to the very core, you know? Don't overdo things. And here's the third track on there called Easy Days, which is, again, classic breaks. The classic piano sound on here, I think, is the one that Bizarre Inc. used. And it goes like this.
Your kid's gonna be far out.
It's a lot more housey. It's got that kind of straightforward house beat, that housey bass line. And those kind of bleepy, techno-y sounds.
Your kid's gonna be far out.
And there's your old school Bizarre Inc. style piano. Back to the housey sort of beat, you know. So yeah, again, if you see that 14 tracks in total, you know, there's a couple of kicks in there and some claps and all that make up the bit. There's a couple of vocal samples, the think break, and then mostly pads and, you know, piano stabs. So again, it's stripping it down. There's not a lot in there at all. Some of the synths I've used on here are basically the Poly 6, which is that one. And what else have we got in here? And then we've got the Monopoly, which is the same Korg family. Brilliant synthesizer, absolutely great. And then obviously we have the Rave Generator, which I think has just come out with a version 3, but they charge for it now. So version 2 is probably still out there if you can search for it. So yeah, that was the other track, Easy Days. Okay, the final track is called Time to Make the Floor Burn, which is a classic old vocal sample from Kid and Play. Again, it's got the straight up breaks from Lynn Collins' Think and Amen Brother. I've not done anything, you know, reinventing the wheels type stuff here. You know, this is just old school hardcore sounds taken from SL2's record, classic breakbeats that have been used time and time again that have just been redone in my way. And it goes like this.
I think it's time to make the floor burn.
Big heavy sub bass.
I think it's time to make the floor burn.
And there's old school stabs. And then we go back to the Rave Generator one, which is the SL2 one. And And for this one, I thought I'd have a bit of a breakdown.
I think it's time to make the floor burn.
Some pads, you know, bring it up with a big sort of snarey build up, filter in the aim and break, loop the vocal, and then stretch it, slow it down. And on it goes, you know, classic, straight out of the box, old school rave. And again, you know, 13 tracks in the whole record. Don't overdo it. That's all you need to do. Just simple. Less is more. So yeah, for me, that is a big change for me. And it's, you know, something that I encourage you guys to do as well, is change your style sometimes. Change it up a gear. Change the way you release things. Change the way you produce, and, you know, just add new things to it. Don't overdo it. Strip it back. If you're releasing tracks with 20, 30, 40 channels on, pull it down, break it down. Just don't be overdoing it on the production side of things. So yeah, change is good. Change is brilliant. It's all about moving forward, and I hope that you've taken something from this. And the EP is out obviously next week on every platform and every digital store, etc., etc. So if you want to know more about rave production and things like that, and old school production like this, let me know, and I can do one-on-one sessions with you. Can be done at waxacast.com. Give me a shout. Thank you guys, and I'll see you in the next episode.